Hello and welcome to this Mastering the Machine webinar for the 12th of April 2025. Our topic today was the building of trainers and small machines and things like that. Had a few guests on here, mostly in the chat. Had a really good time this morning discussing all of this, and I hope you enjoy it. Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to this, the 85th Mastering the Machine webinar for the 12th of April 2025. And the topic today is trainers and building stuff. I'm going to be talking about some of the training equipment and small machines that I've built in the past and very recently. I've kind of done things on this topic before, but it's a little different approach to it. So before we go too far, if you can see my background, I am at American Beverage Depot once again down in Medley, Florida, a suburb of Miami, and sitting in the IT room. Nobody's here today, so just kind of hanging out by myself and with anybody else that decides to show up to the webinar. Before we get into the meat of everything, let's talk about a little bit about what is the Automation Academy. It is an online training website, basically, with videos for Allen Bradley, Siemens, Beckhoff, Moore, Omron, that sort of thing. We do have a library of training and technical documents and a community with some interest groups, IO Central. And we do have these webinars once a month. As I mentioned, this is the 85th. It's been a long time. So for those who are wondering about all the stuff behind me, the other engineers in this room all speak Spanish. So we have to spend a lot of time interpreting things. I'm not very good at Spanish and they're not super good at English. So we use the board behind us and don't dare erase things because they may need it on Monday. So in any case, I do like to mention a lot of times that it's not just all about PLC programming, even though that's what I spend a lot of my time doing. And I noticed, hey, at the top of this, it says old school systems integration. That was like 1 or 2 webinars ago, but I forgot to change that title. So in any case, it's about a lot of things, right? We learn the basics in high school. And if we're lucky, maybe we get into electricity and some of that stuff when we're young. And then we move on and we learn a little bit about computers and maybe motors, things like that. And maybe we go to a tech school, learn some basics of PLC programming, things like that. So this is meant to be a pyramid, kind of showing a learning hierarchy of types of things that you can learn. And as you get toward the top, you get a little bit more specialized, right? SCADA, high-level languages, there's so many of them. People specialize in different things like Python, whatever. New things like AI and machine learning. And then I put these question marks up at the top, meaning, you specialize in what you're interested in, and that's what you study, and you become an expert at that, hopefully, as you get older. But we do have a lot of these materials in the Automation Academy. And so that's why I put it here at the beginning, a little bit of advertising. Let's move into the meat of the subject. So this was a recent project that kind of just hit me out of the blue. I'm spending a lot of my time down here in Miami lately doing systems integration. And all of a sudden I got this purchase order in February. And some people know I build little trainers a lot of times, things for my own classes and sometimes for other people. And these folks approached me because I had one of these little models that you see on the right-hand side of the screen in a video somewhere on YouTube. And they saw this and they said, somebody else made a commercial for this in Europe, and we want to reproduce that commercial. So we need a training system where you can see everything, right? You can see the PLC and you can see all the network stuff. There is a cellular router here and a switch and a computer and all kinds of things. So I made them a workstation and shipped all this to them. And it uses a Siemens HMI. They use a lot of European stuff. So put this together, and it really kind of hit at a good time because I had the time to do it. So they kind of told me what they wanted. It was not a standard enclosure, even though I tried to do my own thing, building an enclosure and everything. They said, no, we want it to be open and we want to film it And we want the HMI on a little stand, not in a door. We want to be able to videotape this thing. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the video that I made of it before I sent it out there. Let's see. See if it pops up on the right screen. Hopefully everybody can see that. This is, and it's about a 5-minute video, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but this is kind of everything communicating and blinking and doing its thing. That is the touch screen that I made. One thing to notice about the touch screen, there is no e-stop. Normally I put e-stops on everything. And in this case, they didn't want one, but I needed one, right? Because as I was debugging this little system, I needed to be able to stop it quickly. So all I did in the program was say, if you hit the e-stop, it disconnects the MCR, and the MCR is in series with every output in the program. You do not want to do this in real life. But what this thing does, it's got a little dispenser, and it sticks these little plastic pucks onto this model, and you run it in auto and manual just like you do a real machine. It's got a little light stack. I don't think I show it in this video. And it's got a lot of part tracking. That's what you see here for these little lights. So cycle start, I think I put a ½ second in there instead of the typical 3 seconds you would use. And this really is a toy, right? It's an expensive toy. You buy these things from Europe, Fisher Technique. You can see this down on the right. It is not cheap. So normal, folks, kids and things don't buy these because they're actually assembled in Germany. They put these things together. And you can see it simulates, right? There's a little drill there. There's a fake welder. It's just a light. There's a pick and place. It's really a pretty ingenious little thing. It kind of reminds you of Legos, right? Except these have slots in them, T-slots, just like extrusion. You see a stick of extrusion here. This is the front bar that's on this. So I'm not going to show the whole video. Maybe I'll kind of fast forward a little bit. That's the kind of the end result. It palletizes things. The thing I like about this particular model is it has a lot of the elements of a regular automation system. It has a dial table, rotary table. It has a pick and place. It has a conveyor, and it has a dispenser, pusher, that sort of thing. That's the kind of things you find in a real factory. So this is a kind of a cute way to simulate all that. So this was a really fun project. It took me almost exactly 1 month from the time that I ordered all the parts to assembling everything to get all this stuff together. And it only had 2 screens. It does not have lots of faults and things like that like you would normally have. But it was a lot of fun, and it kind of got my interest up on fabrication again, which I am a one-person company, so I don't have time to build big machines, don't have the budget a lot of times. I do a lot of that down here in Miami. I do work on big systems, but these little models are great because they only take, like I said, I think the programming and the actual debug and everything was maybe a week and a half. So great timing for a project. So lots of fun. And as you can see, it's pretty simple. And I didn't have to build this model. These models can get pretty big. I think I've got another picture here. Well, it was on the front, right? This one. This is pretty huge. This is about 5 times the size of the one you saw here. It has all these little stations. It's got a color sorter, and actually they use RFID in this case. And it's got a 9-bay warehouse where you can load things and unload them from here. It's got a little process center here. Pretty neat, but it would take probably 4 to 5 of those Siemens PLCs that you see here to control that thing. It's a lot bigger than this one is. But these can be ordered from Germany. They actually assemble them there. You cannot buy the parts independently here. This was one that I put together, it was probably 7 years ago, and this was my initial version of my enclosures. So talking about building enclosures, I'm on my 3rd iteration of that. You can see a lot of my little models back here, and these are kits. So you can see here, I see Allie G is on here, and she has a nonprofit company called Kids PLC Kits, right? And she sends PLCs and components and things to kids. I saw one, Little Miss Fix-It, that put together a lot of this stuff, made a really good video out of all these, components and PLCs and things like that. These are manufactured by a company in Chicago called Gakuto, and I actually provided the design to them, and then they provide all the components to me, and I either resell them or I build them into these trainers for myself. I started out with these plastic trainers, and they did not weather well. If you ship these, things like the hinges would break and they'd flex a little bit. You had to pack them really carefully. And then I moved into a kind of a second iteration where I ordered all of this extrusion and stuff myself. That didn't work well because I had to source all the parts from different companies. So this is my final iteration of these little enclosures. As you can see, they have buttons and e-stops, real e-stops, not fake ones like I have on that model. You wire them yourself. I have a little book that people can get and learn how to wire the stuff and crimp it and solder if they need to. And you can put any kind of PLC you want in there. These happen to be Allen Bradley, but I've got a Beckhoff and a Siemens and kind of a variety of things in here. So the fabrication of these, this is mostly wiring because this kit shows up in all these pieces and all you have to do is bolt it together. It takes about a half hour to put this whole thing together. It used to take, well, for this enclosure, it took about a day because you had to glue everything, right? And you had to wait for the glue to dry. Not a good design at all, but that was my first iteration. The second iteration, I want to say with all the extrusion and drilling holes and tapping the ends of them and everything, that was another half a day project, whereas this is, like I said, a half an hour. These are some of the models. At one time, I seriously considered trying to market these as a training kit that people would buy and put together themselves. I realized that individual people probably can't afford this stuff. I want to say this guy, this 9-bay warehouse, retails for about $1,500 now, which is a lot, right? It's not a Lego kit. This one I thought it's pretty cool. It's maybe $1,000 to $1,200, but this is appropriate for tech schools. And what I like about these, as opposed to the big aluminum things, which I'm going to show you next, these are much less expensive than those, and each student could have their own. So plastic weathers pretty well, right? You can take it apart and adjust things yourself. And you don't have all the metal, and it's easy to transport. You just put it in a box and you can ship it. I do use this little interface cable. I don't use the separate DC power cable anymore. It's an all-in-one cable now. But I had a full system for this, and of course this now. I have this program. For anybody that wants it, I'll give you the program if that's something you're interested in. It's not going to do you a lot of good without the model, of course. So this was an attempt at kind of marketing this before COVID hit, and then COVID hit, and then 2 weeks later, a tornado hit my facility and smashed these two models in particular. Now I'm lucky because here at American Depot, Beverage Depot, I happen to have another one of these. I have another 9-bay warehouse that I sold to the owner of the company, and I'm going to ask him to borrow it back for a few months, make a bunch of videos, and write him a program in Allen Bradley and probably Siemens also, and then make videos of it, give it back to him, and then he can use it for his employees for training if they can't finish the program themselves, right? So big aluminum things. This was something I built in 2016, 2017 era. It took me about a year. And this is along the lines of a typical machine, a real machine that you would build, right? Back in the 90s, when I started my first business, I built a lot of stuff out of this extrusion. As a matter of fact, I thought I saw Mr. John Geisler here. Yes. John saw some of this stuff. I don't know why this kind of tripped here. It changed my display of people. But anyway, John Geisler used to be a neighbor of mine. He now owns a company called Mitocon that does pharmaceutical stuff. But he actually visited my old shop and saw a lot of this stuff I used to build out of extrusion. And the extrusion machines were handy because you didn't have to have a welder, you didn't have to paint things. So it was very convenient for building machinery. So when I had my training facility, I decided to build a model. And I just kind of started one day. I didn't really have a final plan for it, but I built these little bead dispensers, and they would load beads into the boxes. Matter of fact, I have a video of that. Let's see if I can find it here. This is kind of cool. There is a video of it, and it is actually going to run here. So you can see the point of it was it would stick beads into these little boxes, and you could arrange the recipes yourself. You could say, how many beads and what color do I want in each box, right? And I built little escapements to pop the beads in, and then I had a pick and place. And these were two of my first students using this system. Now, the downside of a system like this, one, it was very expensive to build, of course. Had a dial table and a lot of the things that I'm using here. The downside of it costs a lot, and only really one person can work on this at one time. And this is the problem you have in tech schools, right? You have this big aluminum thing, but really only one student can go over there and program that thing at a time. Each student does not have their own because it would fill up too much space. So this was pretty cool. It had, little VFDs on it. It had a camera to inspect and look in these boxes and make sure that the boxes had what they were supposed to in it. I only used this on 2 students in 2019, and then the tornado hit it and smashed it up. Has some good pictures in that and some past videos. But this was a bigger machine. I like the idea of building this kind of stuff again, but I'm not sure that people use a lot of this type of thing for training anymore, other than things built by Amatrol. If you've ever heard of them, very big company, and their trainers cost, $30,000 to $50,000 or more, probably with the tariffs a lot more now because extrusion's price, I noticed, is going up a lot. So this was a pretty fun machine, but I don't think I would ever build another one of these for myself. It just fills up too much space. And again, the downside was I could have 1 or 2 people work on it at one time, but you can't have everybody program their own thing. So I like the little plastic models in some ways better. Okay, now moving on. This is a problem that I recently have acquired. All of this stuff showed up at my place about a month ago. And this stuff was because the guy I do training for in Canada bought another company. And when he bought the company, this stuff came with the company. He said he wanted all the stuff or none of it, but it had some trainers in it. The problem with the trainers, if you look carefully at them, you can see that this is a PLC 5. I don't know of a lot of places that use PLC 5s anymore. They're huge. They were very expensive, very Cadillac for their day. This is a slick 500, and as a matter of fact, it's a 504. Again, pretty obsolete. Most people want 505s. And down here, this is a ControlLogix, but unfortunately, it came with L55s, which are really old. I think I got some L63s, but again, this equipment is not mine, so I can't sell it. I can't easily move it, and it fills up the entire, about half of my office space. It does have this trainer in it, and the guy in Canada wants me to maybe develop a course, but again, unless I get kind of paid to develop a course, I'm not just going to do it of my own free will or even as a gamble that people would want to take the course. So that right now, it's just all sitting here, and these are too big to move. They weigh 500 pounds. I don't really have an easy way to haul this around, and there are 5 of them, and there are 6 of these, and there's a whole lot of other stuff. So I'm building a little garage next to my shop. I'm going to put a lot of this stuff in it, get into a little more parts handling, and possibly build some trainers out of this stuff if the opportunity presents itself. And of course, sell it if anybody wants it. Let me see. Do I have another reel slide here? Oh, I do. Yeah, there's pictures of all the junk. So this is a problem. You can see my shop here, and you can see all these carts. This is just a waste of space. PLC 5, that's kind of cool. Again, Allie G's here. Allie, if you want, trainer kits for kids, I don't know what they would do with a PLC 5 because the software is not even easily available. Alan Bradley still charges a whole lot of money for the software, and this thing's just, it's a giant boat anchor right now. And I believe I have 10 of these, and they're not mine. So I have to figure out what the owner wants to do. He can't ship them to Canada. I don't think he exactly wants them. But anyway, I have them. I'm building a building next door, and I'm going to put a lot of this stuff in there and clean my shop out, and that's it. So at this point, Allie is posting in the chat, I want them, and David's saying eBay. I checked on eBay, and a lot of this stuff is, $1,500 and $2,000, and the cards are individually a lot. But, to put things on eBay and build a store takes a lot of time, takes energy. You have to be there to ship the stuff. Lots of issues with it. And again, I'm a one-person company, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with all this. These are kind of cool. They're made out of wood, right? Little wooden trainers here. Anybody? So we have have more than one virtual machine with RS Logix 5. Absolutely. So Allie, yeah, we should definitely talk. And anybody else? I saw John Geisler on here. I was kind of surprised. Are you there, John? You guys can unmute and talk if you want. I'm trying to. I don't see everybody. I see David and I see Allie.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
think John
John
was
showed
here
up.
and left. Yeah, he was here for a bit and left.
Yeah, he's an old friend of mine. We have had some good times back 20, 30 years ago. He owns a company called Mitochon Pharmaceuticals now. He's a PhD, one of those really smart guys. So it's cool seeing him. But yes, this is my dilemma. I have this stuff, but not sure exactly what to do with it. So yeah, let's use it for marketing. Great idea. I am building a 25 by 25 garage next to my house, not my house, my office house. It's about 5 miles from my regular house. And I'm going to put all this stuff, take all these boxes and all this crap that you see here, take everything out and inventory it a little bit. But I have to arrange something with the owner of the equipment because it's not mine. I don't think he wants a ton for it, but he wants something for it. And he has not decided what he wants for it. So that's a problem. But yes, can make content. Yeah, well, wooden is not a good ground. Very true. And we can make content of the evolution to PLC 5 to Slick to Control Logics. Awesome idea. Man, content takes time though. I've had some conversations with John Sullivan about how long it takes to make good videos. And he said, indeed, 1 hour per minute of finished video is probably accurate. And you don't get paid for it. So it's a guess as to how you're going to make profit from it ever. But yes, I have a month to 2 months at my place. I'm not coming back to Florida until possibly June because I have to build that thing. So I'm getting a 30 by 25 slab poured, and then I'm putting a metal building on top of it to keep lots of stuff, putting shelves in there. That's the goal for all this stuff. I had my own stuff too. That I have a bunch of slicks. I have a bunch of shipping materials and things that I use for automation training. So do like freestyle videos. I do that. I did that for all my Control Logic stuff. It still has to go through Camtasia. It still has to be compiled into a something that you can put on YouTube or whatever. I'm quick at chopping it up. That's not a problem, but I don't know that I'm a great speaker for the stuff too, but very interested, Allie, in doing something with you on this. Yes, you're in Houston now, so you're closer to me. But yeah, especially for kids, I would love to get local kids to come in, but I have not had good luck with that. The local high schools, I was very surprised at what they called their STEM group. It was all about like agriculture and then I asked them, do you even use IoT to monitor soil moisture and air temperature? Nope, we don't do any of that. They don't know what a Raspberry Pi is or an Arduino or any of that. And I'm about 20 miles from Nashville. Probably some of the Nashville kids would do it, but they would have to come out to my place. And kids don't have cars, not that they can easily get and come down the interstate, half hour or during the day longer because of traffic. So I have this issue that it's local folks that would probably need to do all this. But doesn't this look like some? Yeah, it kind of looks like your kids' PLC kits, except the PLCs are much older and much bigger. Yeah, he would probably let the stuff go reasonably inexpensively, but it's up to him, and he's the guy I do the remote training for. I don't know if you can see in the back of this where I took this picture from the end of my little shop because it showed the full length of the shop. And you see all these boxes in the back. These are his too, and all the little suitcases that I use for training and ship around the country. But I'm going to get a lot of this possibly as overflow. It's stuff that is not even going to be sellable. So, yeah, we should definitely talk. And I'd love to have you come out. For those who can see David and Allie's, I don't think going to be at the assembly show this year. David is. So anybody who is coming to the assembly show in Nashville on April 16th and 17th, hit us up. Turner Process Solutions has a booth there, booth 751, and I will be there, and Patrick Bunn will be there, all OT Skatacon alumni. And there's some other folks going to be there also, I believe. Registration with free code VIP 1157. So if you're interested in attending the assembly show, it's in a cool location. It's in the convention center downtown Nashville. So if you want to go boot scooting or go to, the honky tonks or any of that stuff, great place to visit. I think Patrick's coming in late at night and gonna spend the night at my office, this office with all this crap in it. But fortunately, this is just my kind of shop area, and I do have a real bedroom there, although it's just got a big folding couch. But I think you'll be all right back there. And then the other two bedrooms are full of electronics and various things, little rooms that I use for training, but all that. So he's going to be hanging out with us too. He'll be at the booth. So yeah, show up to the assembly show, booth number 751, VIP 1157. I'll get this thing up probably on YouTube by tomorrow. So if you're seeing this is currently April the 12th, and the show is April 16th and 17th, Wednesday and Thursday of next week, currently our time. So anyway, that's mostly it for today. A little recap. Let's see how we're doing here. All the stuff I talked about all my little plastic models, talked about this project. I would love to do more of these projects. I joked with some of the folks on the OT Skatacon site that I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, right? I've done systems integration for a long time. I do know that I don't want to do that the way that most people have to do it. I do not enjoy 60 and 70-hour weeks. I do work 11-hour days when I'm down here, and I'm in the plant a lot doing various things, but they know me really well and they treat me really well, whereas new customers might not. So I don't think I want to get back into what I was doing 20 and 30 years ago. So building this stuff is ideal. I love building things, love teaching. So I think my next few years are going to be concentrating a lot on that, taking some of this stuff and putting it together, and maybe buying and selling equipment, motors. And they said they threw away some stuff down here. They threw a giant Helix conveyor away, stripped a few parts off of it, but they're always coming into equipment down here at ABD and buying and selling stuff. So I may get into the business of doing that a little bit. I may be forced to, because you see all this stuff. And like this cart, you can't even load this into a regular car. That's the problem. It has to be taken apart, and nobody would use this for training anymore. PLC 5s and slicks are not what people pay for training generally for. There are a few people that do this, and I think, they're talking about how to do this, but I don't even have a way to travel with this, and I'm the only trainer that they have that would teach this. There are a couple other trainers for automation training, but I don't think they're even interested in teaching this. They're old guys like me, but this stuff's pretty old. And so a lot of good stuff in here, meters and switches and lights. If the kids' PLC kits, you get the kids in here and take this stuff apart, that could be a lot of fun for them, right? Learn how the stuff works and how it's wired and put it in boxes. And that helps me out too. You see all the extra cards and various things up here, and I've got boxes full of PLC fives and just stuff. But I need to figure out, yeah, what the guy in Canada wants to do with all this. That's the first step. And yeah, like David said, the wood is not a very good ground. I'm sure it's grounded to the cable in the back. As long as it's not wet, I think you'll be all right. But yeah, not something you would put in a plant. Um, Little joke we had back when I used to help the machine builder that was kind of my mentor. We actually contemplated, me and the mechanical engineer, he used to call everything a cabinet. You'd put all your components in the cabinet, and we talked about, just as a joke, building a big, wooden enclosure and putting everything in it with like kitchen cupboards on it and putting the PLCs behind all that and making it a cabinet and just saying, hey, you wanted a cabinet on this machine, didn't you? Well, here you go. So yeah, build everything out of wood. The next webinar, as far as I know, May the 10th, 2025. Topic, as usual, at this point is unknown. I used to plan these things. I don't have a clue what I'm doing next. The last one was pretty cool. We did wine tech with Nikki Gonzalez, another OT Skatacon alumni. We'll probably at some point before OT Skatacon, which by the way is July the 23rd through the 25th. And anybody who, I don't have the link to it on here, but anybody who is interested, you can find it all over LinkedIn. You can find it on the top of my profile. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Registers like a free code Frank, and I'm sure there's a free code David and an Allie and a whoever, and you can get in there maybe for a discount. I believe that's what the deal is. There is a discounted price for that, but it is going to be a blast. 15% discount, David says. So yeah, OT Skatacon, I am looking forward to it. Allie says to everyone, glad I stopped by today. Yes, I'm glad you guys showed up. I like having a little bit of support. I'm stuck down here in Miami hanging out with my whiteboard behind me and nobody else. And it was nice of you guys to show up. So thanks a lot for coming, and we'll see you all the next time.